How you doing out there? This is KXVS, Stockton, California, community radio station here. This is the Yellow Dot Spotlight Show, the new lunch hour edition. We're a little early, but that's okay. You can catch all the reruns at the KXVS.org. And this is a community radio station that we're having lots of fundraisers here to help build the tower so we can go FM. Yeah, it's coming, it's on its way, so check it out in the fall. We'll be up on FM. So today, on today's show, we have the Child Abuse Prevention Council. And we'll be talking to them about what's happening and things that we can help our community in that aspect. So let me check the vocals. Are you there? Hello?
I'm here. I'm here too.
All right, let me fade that out. All right. All right, great. I think we're going. So, Shauna, how you doing today? And
I am doing great, and thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, this is great, especially it's great information for our town and everything, especially with all the stuff in the news that's been happening. I've been alert, and the media's been really focused on that, and we'll check that out in a minute. But there's a lot of events that's happening. You know, we need some superheroes and stuff.
Yeah.
Can we really dress up in costume if we wanted to?
You can. You can really dress up in costume, and we have a complete area for the kids too called Superhero Alley, and that we're speaking of is our CASA Superhero Run, and CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates, and they are actually addressed by the court, or what's the word I'm looking for?
Court-appointed special.
Court-appointed. They're appointed by the court to help work with our foster youth, and they do amazing work taking our foster youth and really giving them a voice and really dealing with what's going on in their lives to help make them be successful. And that's our CASA program. This is one of the only fundraisers that's done for the foster youth here in our community on the CASA program. So we encourage everybody to come out, and that date is October 7th. Yes. Would you like to tell them about it?
Yeah,
go ahead, Amrit.
All right, cool.
The event is October 7th at Lodi Lake. So registration starts at 8 a.m. You can pre-register at nochildabuse.org/superhero. Registration is $30, and it is a 5K run. If you have kids, you can bring them along. They can do a kids dash, and that kids dash is about $15. Prices do go up after this weekend. This weekend, you can also register at the Great Festival, and we'll be there all weekend with our booth in the Zinfandel Hall. And all the money that we raise will go to our foster youth, so it's going to be an awesome day. And if you don't want to participate in the run, you can always bring out your family. You can do our Superhero Alley. There's going to be fun booths. It's just going to be a really good time.
That sounds like a full day of all sorts of events and stuff.
It is a full day.
And can our little furry friends come in costumes? And
oh, yes, totally.
Are they invited
they have to stay on their leash, but they are welcome to come.
All right, stay on their leash. I know a lot of people want the little sidekicks with them, you know, little tiny capes with their stuff.
Yeah, totally. Awesome.
And so that's a great event. So this is once a year that you have this, or is this, because I noticed it's the third year.
Yeah, this is our third annual. We've taken this run over from General Mills, if you remember when General Mills was in Lodi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it used to be the Tricks Run, so people may know it from then.
There you go.
So it is one of the last runs in Lodi that can really utilize the whole entire lake for the run, so that makes it a little unique, and we just love to have everybody come out.
Right, and the scenery is so awesome out there.
Exactly.
You got the lake and all the activities. I remember the sand out there, so it's kind of a little oasis away from town.
Exactly.
In there and stuff. And so with your program and stuff, what do you do throughout the year that we help out our community of the child prevention? Because there's a lot of stuff amazingly that we can all help out.
There's a lot of stuff going on. We have, this month is a crazy month. We have a few different ways that you can help support the Child Abuse Prevention Council here in San Joaquin County. I'm going to let Amrit talk about the next event that's coming up, which is our United Way, we call it our United Way Chase Raffle, but you know the Stockton Auto Show that will be coming at the end of September, and that will be at the Stockton Fairgrounds. And Chase Chevrolet and the Record are kind enough as to host a raffle and offer that to United Way as well as the Child Abuse Prevention Council. And we sell raffle tickets to win 4 awesome vacations packages, and then all those funds go back, or at least 90% of those funds will go back into the United Way and the CAPC, so back into our pockets to help us help the kids here in the community. So that's coming up. Do you want to tell them how they can get tickets?
Yes, so we have tickets available at our location as well. You can call us. You can call me. My number is 209-851-3468, and I'm more than welcome to get you your tickets. Tickets are $20 each, and the event is September 30th, and then the raffle drawing will be at 3 p.m. So the first grand prize is a 7-night Alaskan cruise, and then it goes down to 4-night Caribbean cruise, Disneyland flyaway, and a Las Vegas flyaway. So honestly, you can win either of them, and I think you'll have a really good time. So
not a bad choice either.
No,
Any one of those, right?
Yes. And you get to help out 2 really amazing charities at the same time. So really, it's a win-win.
That's right. It feeds the circle. It keeps it going.
Exactly. So that's our vacation giveaway.
Cool. I'll post that as the camera comes around. I always have to chase the camera. They can't see it, but I'm really running. Here comes the next camera photo. There it is.
And then we have another one coming up. Are you ready for that one?
Oh, yeah.
I told you this is a busy, busy month.
Oh, it's exciting. I'm glad I got to get you at the right time.
Exactly. This is a great busy month. We also have our Super Bowl raffle, and that is a raffle that is hosted generously by the Spanoses. And what they do is that we put together a raffle through the Community Foundation where we sell raffle tickets for $100 a ticket, and the winner wins two tickets to the Super Bowl plus $2,000 cash, and that is to take them to the Super Bowl and pay for their expenses. So we give away 2 of those grand prizes, and then there's like 50 other prizes, all making it well worth your time to buy a raffle ticket. This is done every year, and they pick a number of nonprofits in our community, and this money goes to benefit those nonprofits. So we want to thank the Spanos family for doing that for us. It's amazing, and for the Community Foundation who helps us organize it, because it's a big feat to organize all of this that's coming on. But yes, if you'd like to buy a raffle ticket for that, you can either call us at the Child Abuse Prevention Council. And Amrit, what's your number?
209-851-3468.
Or you can also contact the Community Foundation, and when you buy, just tell them which charity you'd like your money to go towards, and say the Child Abuse Prevention Council.
That one there, right. Well, that's pretty cool. They do get to pick their own.
You get to pick your own
This is hopefully, you could pick yours in there and stuff like that. And so they say this one here, the drawing is around December 14th for these tickets, so when they want to get involved with this activity here.
Yep.
I mean, that's amazing. I mean, these guys are on fire. This is
I know.
like all this stuff's happening and stuff. And then any more information?
Okay, one more event.
And we are going to repeat it again, just like they do in real radio. And
Perfect, I love
it. Yep.
So we have one more, which is our fashion show, which comes up, and this is our 32nd year?
32nd year.
32nd year of our fashion show, which is crazy long. And that's put on by the Child Abuse Prevention Council Auxiliary, which are members in the community that get together to support the Child Abuse Prevention Council. And they put on this amazing fashion show, and that will be held at the Stockton Golf and Country Club this year. It is an evening event. It's great fun, raffle, auction, tequila tasting, champagne toast, all kinds of stuff. And would you like to give them some more information on that, Amrit?
Yes. So the event is November 4th, 2017. It is a Saturday. It is a formal event, so bring your partner, bring your girlfriends. It's supposed to be a really fun night. We're going to have a DJ there. Like she mentioned, there's going to be a fashion show. We're going to have tequila tasting for the guys.
Champagne. Dress a little sharp there.
Yes, it's going to be really, really fun. And then not only that, but we're going to have a fashion show, and the fashion that we're going to be implementing are all from the local boutiques. So you'll get to shop, you'll get to taste, you get to eat. It's just going to be a really fun time.
And you get to learn about us at the Child Abuse Prevention Council.
And
what a great night.
The proceeds benefit CAPC, which is awesome. And tickets are $100. You're more than welcome to go on our website at nochildabuse.org to purchase tickets, or call me once again at 209-851-3468 for tickets.
Nice. And so would this be the same number that maybe vendors want to be, now that they might have heard of you, through these promotions and stuff, how can they get a hold of you to be vendors and stuff and help be a part of it? Because always need more help and organization volunteering.
Anybody that needs to contact the Child Abuse Prevention Council through the community that would like to support us in any way, shape, or form, feel free to call us. We are the Marketing and Development Department at the CAPC, and we would love to hear from you. Just call us and let us know what you think, or that you heard us on the radio today.
Yeah.
We like it. We like it. Call and tell us.
Definitely. And then, so, of course, a lot of social medias, I found it on Facebook and stuff, but is there like a one main source that you'd want us to go to?
You can visit our Facebook. That's usually what we kind of update for the most part. But we also have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So it is Child Abuse Prevention Council of San Joaquin County. So it's pretty easy to find.
Nice.
And the website's easy. It's nochildabuse.org.
There we go. And so how long has this been in town for Stockton?
Well, let's talk a little bit about history. Are you ready for that?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
We'd love it.
So, the Child Abuse Prevention Council has actually been around since the 70s. We initiated because of a child abuse case here in the county, and it was with the death of a little girl named LaTanya Smith. And LaTanya Smith died at the hands of her mother's boyfriend. And it was one of those cases where everybody in the community knew about it, and everybody was up in arms about it. Many things should have happened and didn't. Some balls were dropped, and this little girl obviously paid the ultimate price for that.
Yes.
And so what we did was our sheriff's department, along with some of the prosecuting attorneys, Sandra Butler Smith, if you remember that name, if you're a long-time Stocktonian. She went on later to be a judge here in town. And a lot of other community partners got together and said, we can't let this happen again. How are we going to support these kids? And they started what we now know as the Child Abuse Prevention Council. So we've been around since the 70s, a very long time. Like many nonprofits, we started off and we've morphed a lot in that time. The last 2 years especially, we've had a major increase of growth, taking on new contracts and really making our presence a little bit more firmly stated here in our community. We're really proud of that and all the growth that's happened over the last couple of years.
Well, definitely a staple unit since you've been since the 70s. It should be well more known and more access to that, because maybe people don't know how to find out, and this is one great way, great resource to start.
Exactly.
And sometimes, with those misfortune that happens, when a community and a village is that much stirred up, I mean, that's where the voice is, and that's, as a community, we got to stick together as a village. It takes a village to raise children, A lot of our aunties always watched out for each other and stuff as growing up, and so it's kind of a nice cradle if we can have in our town, because I always think this is Mayberry, Stockton. We all kind of know each other growing up here.
That's true. And everybody thinks it's just about child abuse, and that's just a piece of it. It's also about strengthening that family and really getting that family to such a strong spot that child abuse isn't even on the radar. And then how do we do that? So it's a lot of prevention programs as well, and then there's a lot of therapy and education programs as well as intervention programs going on. So a lot going on to strengthen that family, because we don't want to wait till it gets to that point.
Late.
We want to.
And it is a tough subject to talk about. Like some people, it's really hard to come forward because, unfortunately, it's not an embarrassing thing. But people get that in their emotions with that, and so I don't know. If we can help get that voice out, that it's okay to speak up or something. And I know a long time ago, it was taught that children aren't to speak. But as we get older, man, they're amazing people themselves. When they talk, and then you can see through their eyes. They're awesome.
They are amazing kids, amazing kids. So when we, at the Child Abuse Prevention Council, when we look at families or our strategy for our overall agency, we kind of base everything on three main pillars. And the first one is that early education piece and why that's so important. And I know a lot of people say, well, early education, that's preschool. What does that matter, right? They go learn to color and they have snack and they're good. But people don't realize the importance of that early education and how much your brain develops between the ages of 0 and 5, that 5-year-old mark. There's also the controversy statistics that's how we figure out what our prison system is based on our 3rd grade reading scores. So if these young children do not have this capacity to read and to learn very early on, then that 3rd grade reading score is crucial. In our county, we just had our consensus last year where they took those 3rd grade reading scores, and anybody that fell below a certain amount on that rating, it's how many prison beds we're going to need and 20 years out. That's crazy. That's a crazy statistic. Isn't that insane?
That is insane. And to have that thought process, like, well, let's get ready for this next batch. Right. Instead of trying to, pre-prevent it, like you said, if we can catch it early, make that curve a little different.
Right. Exactly, and that's why early education is so important. And I know it's very controversial, the 3rd grade, so if I get phone calls, I understand. It's very controversial, but that is how they are determining those prison beds. So what happens is until 3rd grade, you're learning how to read. But at 3rd grade, you start reading to learn. So if you don't have those reading skills in place, you're not going to learn. And that's what puts some of our population back into that low jobs, not wanting to graduate from high school. But we go back to that early education piece that I was talking about and why that preschool is so important. You take families that are in crisis or that are struggling, and a lot of times that parent might want that child to stay with them. And that's understandable. They don't really know where they're sleeping that night. They don't really know where their next meal is coming from. So they keep that child next to them. But what happens then is they don't go to preschool. They don't even sometimes go to kindergarten. And then 1st grade, law enforcement steps in and says, hey, you need to have your kid at school, right? So here these little kids come. they get their new little backpack and their little school supplies, and they're so excited to go in. And then the first day, within 5 minutes, they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to hold my pencil. I don't know what this circle time thing is. I don't like this. I don't want to be here. I hate my teacher. I hate school. And we've just set them up to fail at age 5.
Overwhelmed.
Yes, overwhelmed. They can't handle it. So why is that so important? That early education piece is very important. And it's very important, especially when we're working with families that have trauma or in crisis, because we need to also train those parents who sometimes have had years and years and years and generation of dysfunction. How do you advocate for your child, and how do you do that in a respectful way where you're going to get results for your child? And that's what ultimately is most important, is that we are getting those children taken care of very early on. So that's some of our preschool programs. So in the Child Abuse Prevention Council, we actually run about 22 preschools throughout the county. So if you're looking for any type of child care, please call us, let us know, and we can hook you up with a site that's close to you. We have some Head Start programs and then some other programs that are for preschool that you might qualify for as well. And this is quality preschool. And these preschools also have wrap services. So if your family is in crisis or that parent is struggling, we have that support system to go in and help you. So it's not just preschool, drop off your kid, but how can we help you, and how do we get you to that stronger place?
Yeah, so they can go into a support system. You know, they don't have to be alone trying to figure out, what to do, but you have a support system that can help guide everybody, and stuff like that. And what an amazing feat, because I bet there's so many stories and good stories that come out, and just that's how the community blossoms, and that's how we can grow, one by one. And so as they get a little bit older into the teenage years, is there programs also that kind of stems a little further?
Yeah.
Because they, sometimes they start off good. They might fall off a little bit for a minute, but we all kind of do, maybe. Well, I might have, but that's a whole nother show.
No, yeah, exactly. Let's not go there.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, so I talked about the 3 pillars that hold us up. That first one was that early education.
Okay.
The second one is therapy, and really being able to help these kids and get to them early. Like I said, a lot of the children that we're dealing with might have emotional issues, coming from crisis, coming from backgrounds that are hard. They're just hard, and they're angry. And at 3 and 4 and 5, they don't deserve that. They have a right to be angry. But how do we help them to do that in a more positive way and not a destructive way? And what does that anger look like, and how do we channel that? So that brings us into some of our counseling programs so that we can work with those children very early on. We have a behaviorist who works in the classrooms who can go in and really teach the kids right there as they're in the middle of a meltdown or whatever it may be. That behaviorist can go in and put plan together that would include the parent and would include the teacher and the child to help them get to that stronger place. And then that can transfer over into our therapy department, where we have play therapy and PCIT therapy and things like that to help that child. Again, these are children that are usually between the ages of 0 and 5. So how do we get them to express themselves? And play therapy is huge.
Right. And you don't want them to hold it in, because sometimes everybody's different. They can hold it in for years and years, and that's when if they can deal with something a little bit earlier, see the signs, or even they can reach out. They don't feel like they're doing bad or something. They just have to learn these different tools, which is awesome with these programs. They can able to give these tools and stuff like that.
And then we work with the one schools as well. So we were working with one of the one schools here, which is a truancy site school, and we had counselors, licensed therapists, and they're trying to figure out what's going on in your life and what's affecting you not wanting to go to school. And as our counselors were in there, they just kept saying, I wish I could have got to this kid like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, or if I just could have got to them a little earlier. So a couple of years ago, we piloted a program in Lodi called Lodi Safe. And what that is we go into the elementary schools and ask the principals, which kids do you think are going to end up at the one school? And we asked them what age that they can usually start telling. What age do you think they said?
I don't know, maybe 7?
Third grade.
There's
that third grade again.
Right there. So there's a magic number that the brain clicks in or something. Right?
There's that third grade. I
should have known.
Yeah, third grade. And they're letting us know, we're already seeing signs of the girls being promiscuous. We're seeing signs of suspensions already starting that early, behavioral issues and things like that. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to put a therapist in the school so that principal can identify those children to us very early on. We can meet with them in group sessions, one-on-one sessions, and then we also can go into the family and deal with what might be happening there, because usually if they're acting out at school, it's because there's something going on in the family.
They're learning or
in the
stemming
home.
from something like that.
Something is happening. There's some crisis that's happening in the home that's triggering that. So we want to have the ability to go in and help those families so early on. The program has been hugely successful. Expanded in the Lodi program, expanded into Stockton Unified Schools as well.
What was that program again?
In Lodi, it's called Lodi Safe.
Lodi Safe.
And in Stockton,
It's called Project Prevent.
Project Prevent.
Okay.
And then we are looking to expand into Lincoln Unified hopefully by next year. So we're
wonderful.
really excited about that program because it's really hitting that population that might be in crisis and hitting them very early on. So we're really excited about that.
Oh, nice. You know, and that's all they need is a little help because they don't know. You know, they're just energy. And little balls of energy, they don't know where to go. They're just like, bing, bong, shoo, shoo, you know, go on every which way.
Exactly.
Hey, kid, just this way a little bit, would you? You know?
Exactly.
So we got the first tier and the second tier, and then the third tier that we get
So
to.
I'm still going to work on that second tier for a second.
Very good. No, it's all right. Let me know.
It just keeps going and keeps going. Have I
So very
overwhelmed
good.
you yet?
No, this is great.
Another program that we have at the Child Abuse Prevention Council is called TAY, and it stands for Transitional Age Youth, and that is a mentoring program, and that is free to anybody in the community that wants to use it. That's between the ages of 16 and 24. Usually it's for those that might not be on that track to go to college, although we do have some, but that would usually be the clientele that would want to respond, and just struggling, just really need help just putting it all together. Give you an example. I have a friend, and you know, her son was smoking dope and didn't want to leave the house, and she's like, how do I get him to move out? What's going on, you know? And our TAY coaches are a little bit younger, and so we have somebody that comes in there and starts talking to that youth and meeting with that youth, and like, what are your goals? And he said, well, my goal is to get out of the house. Okay, so do we think smoking dope every day is going to help us succeed there or not help us succeed? I always laugh and say it's somebody besides your mom going no in your head, right?
Anybody else.
But our TAY program is very strong, and amazing TAY counselors that come in and will take these youth and say, okay, really, what are your goals? How do we help you get there? And a lot of time it's just so overwhelming, you know, applying for college or vocational school or trying to get a job. If you don't have those skills or that support system, how do you get those skills? And that's where the TAY program comes in.
That's really nice, because I know a lot of time on computers you can't really talk to a person, and I found that out through other students that gets frustrating. You know, so if they can talk to somebody, like a person one-on-one, that's wonderful.
Exactly. So our TAY program is very popular. We also have the suicide prevention grant for the county right now. So we're doing suicide prevention in many of our high schools around the county. A lot of peer training, which is a little different take on suicide prevention. And I think it's wonderful, because who knows better than the children that you're going to school with, what's happening with the children that are going to the school,
It's
right?
like a whole other language. Every generation, they switch the words on us.
Exactly.
I used to be cool.
Amen. Yeah, so our suicide prevention is very popular, where we're going in and we're training. We'll pick out the cheerleader, the drama girl, the football player, whatever it may be, and we're taking somebody from each of those peer groups and training them on what to look for when your friend comes up to you and says, oh, I'm just so fat, I could just kill myself. You don't just say, oh, stop, we're going to lunch, you know, but really acknowledging those feelings and seeing if there's really something to that, and how do we open them up and talk to them about those hard topics.
Right, those are underlining thoughts sometimes that verbally comes out. They might not know it that it's coming out, but those are underlying thoughts that could be happening. It could be the American language, a little slang, but a lot of times we don't want to take advantage of that either, and stuff like that.
Exactly. So those are some of our programs that we're working for through our counseling and really being there for our kids and really trying to get back to the youth here in our community. So if you have a youth, I just want to just say it again. If you have a youth that would be interested in any of those programs, you can call myself or Amrit at your phone number, Amrit.
209-851-3468.
Or visit our website at nochildabuse.org if you're interested in any of those. So we talked about the education pillar, and we talked about that counseling pillar, and now let's go into that family strengthening pillar. And what does that look like? How do we strengthen these families? I don't know how much you know about Child Protective Services. Do you know a lot about that?
No, not too much. I probably should know more information. This is one reason why I need some help. I need what's going on with the society. Everything's going crazy, but please inform us more.
Okay, I'm going to talk in very layman's terms here.
Okay.
So Child Protective Services, when they get a call that comes in, they rank the call. If the crawl ranks, let's say, a 1 or a 2, that means CPS has to go out and find out what happened. If it ranks somewhere lower, it's outsourced to 2 agencies here in San Joaquin County. It will either go to us at the Child Abuse Prevention Council or the Women's Center. And we each have a team, and they're called the Differential Response Team. And what their job is to do just like CPS does and go out and find out what happened in the home. And I'm going to give you an example. We had a gentleman call CPS on a lady that was living under him in an apartment complex and said, listen, I don't know what's going on over here. You need to come out because the kids aren't getting any food and they're crying, they're hungry, and they're fighting over a cup of noodle. You need to come out. So when we arrive on the scene there, what we find out is that she is on assistance, so welfare, and her next check isn't coming till the next week or maybe even the following, it's not week, excuse me, day. So she's holding that cup of noodle and see if her check comes the next day. So immediately our team jumps in and says, okay, why aren't you going to the food bank? And she said, well, at this time I have like 2 or 3 small children and I have to get, on 2 buses to get there, and she was having problems getting over there. So what we did was we said, okay, what resources are right here in your community? Literally walked out the door and looked. There's a church about a block and a half down. We go over, we knock on the door. Hey, do you have a food bank? Yes, we do. Here we go. So then we put her in touch with the church. So now the next time she runs out of food or crisis happens, law enforcement doesn't get called. Child Protective Services doesn't get called. She's not a strain on an already strained system, right? She can call us for assistance, or she can go to the church. Okay, but we don't stop there. Then we go back in and we're like, okay, do you run out of money every month? Well, yeah. Well, why? Do you need to get maybe what?
Do you need childcare?
Yeah, do you need childcare? Do you qualify for Section 8 housing? Do you qualify for utility assistance? What does that look like that we can help you get to a stronger place? A lot of times people in crisis don't think like we think. They don't go A goes to B goes to C, right? They're like A, J, K, F. They're all over the place. Calm them down. Let's start building on what you do well, because everybody does something well. And that's where we want to start. What are you doing well?
That's positive.
And how do we build on that? You're not a bad mom. You're just having bad circumstances right now. And we need to help you get to a stronger place. And we do that by giving them weekly goals, calming them down, building that self-esteem up again, and giving them that motivation to want to do good for their family. And again, strengthen that family. Amazing program, huh?
It is, definitely. And that's something that, like if there's kind of a little scatterbrained for the moment, because they're thinking only second or minute by minute.
Exactly.
They can't think of, what's happening because they're so much involved in their head. But, if they have their community around, it is nice that living in a town, you can have a church nearby and knock on the door. But again, people sometimes are afraid to ask for help.
Exactly.
Or they don't know, And so that's some of the information that we're constantly putting out there.
Right. So you remember I said that program worked with Child Protective Services, right?
Yes.
So at the Child Abuse Prevention Council, we said, well, why? This is such a great program, right? Why do we have to wait for CPS to get involved? We want to be more proactive. So we started the same exact program called Family Intervention. Does the exact same thing, but the referrals are coming from people in the community. So you can call and say, I'm struggling, I need help, or you have a friend of a friend who needs help, but we can handle them the same exact way. We can go ahead and offer them those services and be able to be there for them. Exactly.
And they don't have to worry about their kids being taken away or nothing like that, because I know that's some of the first thoughts that, like you were saying earlier, sometimes they keep their children so close, they want to protect them and overprotect, but they don't have to worry about that, right?
Right.
I mean,
and that's a common question right now, especially with the homelessness to the point that it is right now in our county.
Yes.
A lot of people say, well, I'm homeless, they're going to come take my child. And that's not necessarily true. We are mandated reporters, so if we do think that the child is at risk for some reason, we will call. But there's certain things that people have missed that are bad, like I'm homeless. No, if you can show that you have a roof over their house and you have food in the fridge, or that you're feeding them, they're fine. CPS isn't going to necessarily, and I say necessarily because there's always those extreme conditions, so I want to make that clear. But homelessness does not make you a bad parent, and that does not make you have to have your children taken away every single time. So I want that myth to be a
little bit squashed on there.
Yeah.
It is a case-to-case
exactly
thing, because a lot of us, we're paycheck to paycheck away. And, we just got to keep that consistency. And sometimes people break that consistency. And that's where the scattered mind goes, oh, no, I need to make up for yesterday and the day before. And that's where they start falling behind instead of looking forward.
Exactly.
Right. And you just said it, that paycheck to paycheck, that's huge. Many people in our community are in that same. They are working, and they are literally, if that next paycheck, or if there was an injury in the family, or something happened, and they don't have that support system. So what do? I want to briefly talk about what we call restricted and unrestricted funds for a second. So when we get grants and money to run these programs, we get money for somebody's salary and their cell phone and their mileage and all that. What we're not getting funds for, and what we call our unrestricted funds, are the money that is coming in for us to actually give back and help these families. And let me give you an instance. We had just that happen. A gentleman was the main breadwinner for his family. There was an injury, and he needed to pay his utility bill. And the utility bill was like $100. I mean, like, for most of us, we're like, it's $100. Just, pay your utility bill. Well, what happens then is he's in this crisis mode. He can't get back to work. So if utilities are not on in the house, that can be a reason for CPS to step in. So they are, freaking out because we're going to lose our utilities. What are we going to do? So what happens is these unrestricted funds we casework them, and we can give us the opportunity to say, okay, we're going to help you pay this $100. You're going to pay us back when you can. You're going to stay on program. We're going to stay calm. We're going to get through this together, and we're going to come out on the other side stronger, right? Now, if we let those utilities get taken off, so Child Protective Services might get involved, then maybe they have to try to jump through some hoops to get their kids back, so maybe that's more time off of work. So now after the injury, he loses his job, and so now he's on the system, right? And all this could have been stopped with $100.
Wow, that's amazing. And that doesn't bog down the system, like you're saying.
Exactly.
Like some of these things that can be preventative or worked out,
And if you're working with them, you're usually so grateful, that somebody's out there and helping them and offering that hand and that support, because they don't have it. And sometimes they do pay us back. And then they want to come back, and they want to help, and they want to volunteer, and they want to help the programs, because when they were down, we stopped an avalanche from happening. Or we helped them stop it. I'm sorry, that should say that, because it's they're doing the hard work. They're doing the heavy lifting, not me, right? Not me. So, it's an amazing program. But, unrestricted funds too. We had an incident where we had a little girl that had really bad diaper rash, and we told the mom, was a young mom, and we're like, you have to change the baby's diaper, hon. We're mandated reporters. I can't have the baby coming in here, with blisters, because you haven't changed the diaper. I mean, it's
it's painful for the baby. I'm
exactly.
Sure. He can't talk yet. It's like,
and she said, well, I just have enough that I can change the baby every 4 hours, and that's all that's all the diapers I have. Well, okay, you keep coming and bringing your baby here. You let us help you through our FI system, and I'm going to give you a case of diapers a month. Well, where does that fund come from? That's where our fundraisers and these raffles and these things that we're asking the community to support us with, that's where those fundings go. They go into those unrestricted funds so that we can help the families. I told you earlier that we have grown as an agency very much in the last couple of months, and I think people assume, oh, they've got plenty of money, they've had this big expansion project, but no, that's more of those families that we need those unrestricted funds for. So it can be really encouraging when people come in and help or offer donations. We're always looking for donations of diapers and wipes. That's huge all the time. So if anybody wants to do a diaper drive or anything like that, that is amazing as well.
That's a good idea, diaper drive. I got any good reason to play some music.
There you go.
But it's wonderful that, like you said, these people come back and they pay it forward. And that's what keeps the cycle going. Hey, I was down once. I want to pay it forward back. And then that's where the whole system can kind of ride along with other help and stuff like that with all these fundraisers.
Right.
And so speaking real quick, when we get back to more of this talks, can we go over the fundraisers that you're having?
Yes.
Again,
I'm going to let Amrit do that since I've hogged the whole
There we go. No, that's all right. It's wonderful. Making my job easy.
So the first one that we talked about earlier was the United Way, that we're partnering up with United Way, and we are giving away a Alaskan cruise. So you can come by and buy tickets from us for $20 each, and your ticket will be placed in a drawing, and on September 30th at 3 p.m. You can get a chance to win 4 different prizes. So anywhere between cruises to Las Vegas to Disneyland. So
and that's at the Stockton Auto Show.
That's at the Stockton Auto Show, which is at the County Fairgrounds. So you can come by and do that as well. And our next one that's coming up after that is our third annual Casa Superhero Run. And all the proceeds that we get from this event will be helping the foster children in our county. So that's huge for us. And like we mentioned before, there's over 1,500 foster kids in the San Joaquin County. So if we can help each and every one of them, that would be an amazing goal. So it's a 5K run. There's also a kids dash. You can come out with your family and watch our Sidekick Circle, which will have performances. We will have our Superhero Alley, where the kids get to play games and meet other kids. So it's a fun time. We encourage everyone to come out and dress up in their costumes.
Adults, you dress up too. Wear your capes. Bring your capes.
And
bring your
everyone
capes.
that gets to run, they get a superhero, and we're just supporting the superhero cape. So
we're not taking home Superman.
No Superman.
Right, no Superman.
I don't know. We have all the single ladies out.
Take on one Superman each one. Right.
So get a superhero cape, and it's just a really fun time. So
Nice.
8 a.m. is the registration, or you can register either at the Lodi Great Festival this weekend or online at nochildabuse.org/superhero. So that's our second event coming up. And then for the third one, here we go again.
Okay, cool. No, this is great.
For the third one, we're doing a Super Bowl raffle, and we have partnered up with Community Foundation, and we're so thankful that they've chosen us once again this year. And we will be selling tickets. We're currently selling tickets for $100 a piece, and 90% of those proceeds benefit CAPC. So like we mentioned about their unrestricted funds, that's exactly where it goes back to the kids in our community. So with that being said, you're more than welcome to buy tickets through us, through me, through our nochildabuse.org. The flyer's on there as well, or you can contact Community Foundation. So, and your ticket will be placed in a drawing, and the drawing happens December 14th, and that day, if you win, you get 2 tickets to the Super Bowl plus $2,000. So not only that, but if you don't win, there's chances to win other smaller prizes, and if you don't even win after that, but know that your proceeds benefit children in the county. So it's actually a win-win situation.
Win-win.
Honestly.
I'm with her. Win-win.
And last but not least, for this year, we have our 32nd annual fashion show. So and that's going to be at the Stockton Golf and Country Club. It's a fashion show, dinner, and dance. It is, you bring your significant other, bring your girlfriends out. You'll have, tequila tasting. You'll have dinner. There's going to be fashion from the local boutique. It's just going to be a really fun time. So you can buy those tickets online as well at nochildabuse.org. Tickets are $100, and like I said, once again, those go to our unrestricted funds and help those children right here in our community.
And that event, they're going to have one of our CASA youth from the county speaking.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And then they'll have a foster child also there. So you really get to learn about what we do up close and personal from
where the
some of the
money's going
stories.
and all
Yeah,
that good
some of the
stuff,
stories.
I was kind of wondering about that. Some of your sponsors, the CASA, if you can tell us a little more about that group.
Yeah, sure.
Uh-huh.
So CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates.
Oh,
and
okay.
as Amrit mentioned, there's 1,500 children in our foster care system. I don't know how much people understand how our foster care system works. Once a child is put into placement, there could be a lot of movement on that. And when I say movement, the social worker will come and pick up that child and place them in a home. And then what happens is then the parent will go to court, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the judge will say, okay, are you going to get the child back right now, or are we going to let them go into foster care? In California, we are what we call a reunification state. That means that mom and dad have all these chances to jump through all these hoops to try to get the child back.
Right, plenty of chances. I mean, they really got to work towards it themselves.
Really, yes.
That's
They
right.
have to do the heavy lifting.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they do.
sure.
And so that process can be very long. So in the meantime, then that foster child is moved into what we would call a regular foster placement. And so with those resource families, because if you guys have been following in the county right now, we are no longer calling them foster families or foster parents. They are
right.
resource families.
Resource families, right?
So we're trying to be politically correct. That came down in the last month.
No, so Brady Bunch is cool, but it's still Brady Bunch, the old
exactly.
foster family.
Still foster family.
That's like keep thinking, lovely lady. Okay, right.
Yeah, so what happens then is the foster child, there's a lot of movement. So sometimes the first place that they put that child might not have been a good place. And while mom and dad are jumping these hoops, they might be in a couple places. Our social workers, bless them, because they have a hard job and are very large caseloads right now. And sometimes their movement can also contribute to the movement in the child. So just a lot of changes going on with that child. So some children can handle that better than others. So when the child goes before the judge and the judge says, oh, okay, this one's grades might be dropping, maybe they're running away, maybe they're seeing other signs of trauma or distress, they can say, this child needs a CASA. And that's where the court-appointed special advocate comes in. And they meet with that child for about 4 hours a week. A CASA has a really hard job. They need to tear down kind of all the damage that's been done and the trauma and get through to that child, which can be really hard. The CASA is a volunteer. So if you're interested in being a CASA volunteer, please call us. They go through 30 hours of training. It's not boring. It's actually very interesting training about how the system works and what these kids go through. So it's very interesting. They are background checked, and then they are placed after the judge says that that child needs a CASA. The CASA is placed with that child. And then they get to meeting with that child. We ask about 4 hours a week or so, sometimes more, sometimes, and really get to know them and get talking to them and find out, what do you like? What do you need? What do you want? And really explain the process, because through this, sometimes our explanation to the child, like you said, they're little adults now,
right,
yeah. And I think sometimes we just say, okay, this is where you're going to live. Don't ask questions. Your mom,
Right, and it's nice to hear their feedback, because it can help us out understanding their feelings, because some are a little different levels than others that they can't communicate or how they're feeling. It's nice to know what they're doing.
And mentally, that's going to help them heal as well. So to listen to them and have them have a voice. So that's exactly what the tagline is for our CASAs, is that they become the voice of the child. So when there's decisions to be made in court, the CASA has already been sworn in, and just like a bailiff is sworn in, as an officer of the court. So they have access to that child's medical records and educational records, so they can make good decisions about what's going on with that child. The CASA, the foster child, never lives with the CASA. They stay with their foster family, but this is somebody who can go in and assist that foster family. So if the foster families have a child that they're struggling with, they can go to court and request, or go to that child's social worker and request a CASA. The child can call in and request a CASA, or the judge will appoint a CASA if they see that there's the child's not handling.
Well, what an amazing network that we have here in town that's just kind of hidden but not hidden. Unfortunately, you would know about it if it's too late, but hopefully our goal now is to get more information out there before it is too late, before somebody gets so discouraged that we don't want anything bad to happen to our community and our children and stuff like that. So we're almost out of time here, but I want to ask one more question about the Cape. Does that go everywhere? Because I've been looking online. I was like, the traveling cape. Can you tell us about that?
Definitely. Do you want to tell about that? Okay, so the traveling cape is a Facebook campaign that we are doing for our CASA Superhero Run. So if you go to nochildabuse.org or onto our Facebook page, which is
Child Abuse Prevention Council of San Joaquin County,
you can go on there, and the cape travels around, and it is today, I believe it was with the Highway Patrol. Yes. So and then the other day it was with the Board of Supervisors, and you're going to see some pictures on there about the Cape and who is supporting us and supporting the foster youth here in our community. And I think we need to bring the Cape here and
have you do the Cape. I could have Cape in the booth.
You can do the Cape.
Okay, I'll borrow it and we'll do that.
We'll do that. We'll do the Cape here.
I didn't even think about that, but I thought about it the whole time, like the Cape. The Cape
is awesome. So it's a great way for you to like us on Facebook, share things that are going on. That's what we really, really need, is for people to actually go on and just share it, so that more people realize what's happening in the community and that there are services here that you can utilize, and we're here to help.
Well, wonderful. What a great program. This was an awesome time, and I'd like to have you periodically, because we always have our guests return here twice a year or something, just to keep things going. And anytime, come on by. I really appreciate this. It's so lovely to meet y'all.
Thank you.
All right, and then we'll catch you next time.
Thank you so much.
All right, Yellow Dot Spotlight Show, Friday edition. Check it out on YouTube. Coming up, you can check out the live show on KXVS.org. All right, we'll see you later.
What I love about Stockton is you got a lot of people helping each other out. Sure.